Join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody this evening. First item on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from September the 24th. Were there any corrections, changes, questions? No? Okay. Those will be approved as submitted then. Next item, report of the town manager, Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Mayor Black, members of council. Several things to touch on tonight. I just wanted to remind everyone that the town's annual Fall Cleanup Week event is underway, which is a semi-annual event that involves largely the pickup of bulk goods at the curbside for customers who pay the refuse collection fee. Staff is also taking this opportunity to catch up on brush collection throughout the system as well. Now, if anyone has any specific questions about this service, I would ask that they reach out to the Public Works Department by phone directly, 540-587-6081. Also, as a bit of information direction, I want to note that we are very pleased to host special events in town, and particularly at town facilities such as our parks. However, we ask that people who are interested in putting those on coordinate those through the town administration office, and we can be reached by phone at 540-587-6001. Also, we'll note that there have been some recent changes in policy and process related to that. So we ask that people who have ongoing or annual events that may have been previously occurring touch base with us to confirm those existing plans so we make sure we have those covered. The Liberty High School Homecoming Parade will take place tomorrow. That's Wednesday the 9th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. This will be a modified rolling procession beginning at College Street, continuing through North Bridge and East Main Street. Also, town offices will be closed on Monday, October 14th, in observance of a state-recognized holiday. I regret to report that Police Chief Ronnie Lewis has submitted his resignation effective January 3rd, 2025. We certainly appreciate his service in this position, and we wish him well in the future. And on a somewhat happier note, I will end by welcoming Shauna Bogus, our new recording secretary, who's with us tonight on her own, running her first meeting.
All right. Any questions or for Mr. Warner? No. All right. Moving right along. Appearances before council. We have two people signed up this evening. Couple things. Just when you come up, if you'll give us your name and your address for the record, and we try to limit this to 3 minutes so we can move on. So if you would just kind of be respectful of that, and I'll let you know when you're kind of at that point. So if the first person is Brian Bradley, Mr. Bradley. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'll be very brief. A few weeks ago, Tracy harped on the speed limit. I think you guys are voting on it tonight. And I wasn't going to speak. I thought she covered everything. This morning, I drive a truck. This morning coming home, I live at 3962 Forest Road. And this has happened before, but just because of tonight, I just thought it'd be important to speak. 5 o'clock in the morning, pretty limited traffic. As I'm about to turn, here comes a truck. And so one of the members, if it had been me, I would have been cussing. He really wasn't speeding either. But once he came around and saw that I'm turning, all you could hear was where he's obviously slamming brakes. He's got 3 choices. To the left, oncoming traffic, to the right, the woods, or me. Luckily, I was able to get into my driveway quick enough, but I just wanted to reiterate that for you guys. That's it.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Ethan Strickler. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I'm Ethan Strickler of 2326 Robertson Road, Bedford. And I just wanted to bless you with a little bit of God's wisdom. I know all of you seek to do the best job you can, and I want to thank you for your service and all that you do for the city. And I know you would use any help you could get in the roles that you and the responsibilities you've been given. God says that much wisdom is vexation, and he who increases in knowledge increases in sorrow. And I think you probably all have experienced that as you do your jobs. The more you find out, the more problems you find out are out there. And it's a tough world that we live in, and there's a lot of problems. And the more you find in the world, there's also good, though, right? You see a lot of good things, too, and you gave some reports of a parade and some good things happening. But the same writer who wrote this also concludes the whole matter by saying we have one responsibility, and that is to fear God and keep his commandments. And so I'd like to pray for you all that God would enable you in what you do for this town and for the people. That he would empower you and give you wisdom and strength and the capability to deal with all that knowledge. Because it's a lot that you have to do. And I want to also just thank God for you. So let me pray. Our Father, thank you for what you have done. Thank you for these men and women who you have given responsibility to. I know that they desire to do a great job, and they want to love their neighbors, and they want to do everything that's been given to them in their responsibilities. And so, Father, I pray that you would help them fear you and keep your commandments. I pray that you would empower them with your Spirit, that you would give them much wisdom with the knowledge that they have. I pray this all in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Anybody else wish to speak this evening? Okay. Council comments? Mr. Foreman, we'll start during this evening.
I just want to thank everybody for being here and thank you for your prayers and your words. We can all use that. I did want to say that where I work, we had an unexpected death. So I'm going to be actually asked to do some stuff for next month also. So I'm going to be away for 2 council meetings. I know I've used 3 of the 4 Zoom meetings. So by policy, I can use 4. So I'll have to choose which one. I think it'll be the November meeting. I'll be on Zoom. I'll have to miss the next meeting because of that. It's just because of work travel, I can't miss.
It can, Mr. Carroll, is there a way, I mean, I know the policy is, and Todd's, been very forthcoming and made me aware of this and, and has participated by Zoom and, I don't want to set a precedent, but at the same time, I know if council as a whole felt comfortable, is that something we can make an exception to that policy or
There are caps in the state code
There
as
are,
to how
okay.
many times you can do it. It
Okay.
can't be, I have to go back and double check.
Well, if you could
And
for me.
refer- But I'm gonna guess it's.
probably at-
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're probably there.
At the
But I
policy.
will double check and get back to you, but
yeah,
there.
because we probably set that policy up to meet those
Most people
caps.
use the policy to go
Right.
right up to the cap as far as
Okay.
ability and so, but I'll double check that.
Just double check and let me know, and then, does anybody have a problem if it's, if as long as we're abiding by our policy, because like I said, we set that, so we need to abide by it, so. And Todd recognizes that, and we've spoken about that, but if there is any, opportunity for an exception, or if that policy, maybe if those caps are set lower than what the state code says we can set it, then maybe we need to revisit that policy. But anyway, appreciate Todd reaching out and explaining that to everybody as well. All right.
Is there a policy about the number of council meetings that a councilman could miss?
I think a policy about number of council members meetings you can actually miss. I don't know if there's.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything in the town charter, but we might. I can't.
So my next question is, if there's not a designated number of how many you can miss, why would we put a number on how many times we can attend by alternate means?
Good point. Unless, like I said,
Because
unless they.
the General Assembly wants you here in person.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a simple answer to the question. That They will allow some bodies in the state code to meet entirely virtually, but they don't allow city councils, town councils, boards of supervisors, and school boards to do that.
Right.
They require you to assemble in a location so that the citizens can come find you in one location and speak to you. And they discourage people from missing or participating remotely, using that as a crutch, if you will. They want to
So
encourage
there is
people
a
to be here.
designated number of council meetings that you're allowed to miss?
No, not miss, but attend through Zoom.
Sometimes the answer doesn't really
Yeah.
answer the question, does it?
If Mr. Foreman missed the ball, the rest of you would still be here, and so the citizens would
Right,
still have-
because, yeah, I mean, that would be, yeah.
Makes it more
Good old
confusing.
Judge Dillon.
All right. Mr. Johannesson,
Well, appreciate everybody being here tonight. Hopefully, we'll get some things done. The prayer is always needed. And now, I'm for one, am real disappointed that we're losing Ron Lewis. I think he's done a good job, and I just want everybody to know that he really has done his best. And thank him.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I have several things to mention. Number one, Mr. Strickler, we appreciate the prayer. I am a believer that the good part outweighs the bad, but the bad gets more publicity, so that's why we hear more about it. And congratulations on the audit. I am not going to try to go into detail on that because I would just get myself confused, but keep up the good work. We appreciate it. And from what I understand, it was quite an accomplishment for a small town. So thank you. September 28th, I attended the Beulah Payne Memorial Park dedication. It was an honor for me to be there. I'll just be blunt. A great recognition there where we changed the name from Edmond Street Park to Beulah Payne Memorial Park. A lot of people there I knew, and some there that knew me that surprised me. So I told Bob later, I said, you know, it's almost like that was my second family. So people remember me from a kid and knew my old home place and all that. It was a little bit of a reunion in its own way. But I do appreciate everybody that made this happen. I've known Gerard Payne since high school. He and I played football together. He and I have been good friends ever since. He was a year ahead of me in school. We did not win too many football games, but we had a lot of fun, a lot of good memories. But nonetheless, Bob, I appreciate what all you did on that. It was a great ceremony, and again, it was an honor for me to have been there. One last thing, you all are very familiar with the flooding in the Carolinas. I mean, that is just heartbreaking. I mean, all the pictures I've seen, the devastation, it'll take years for that place to get back to normal. It is so disturbing in that about 1 year ago, we were down in Asheville, North Carolina, camping outside of there in a campground that is now, well, was completely underwater. I mean, it is just unbelievable. The road we went down is half gone now. But one thing that my son sent me that a friend sent him, his family lived in Nashville, Tennessee. They went down to Asheville on a Thursday. The flooding started on Friday. They had to go all the way to Atlanta, Georgia to find a way back to Nashville, Tennessee. But one thing he emphasized, he says, always pack an emergency kit, excuse me, with a flashlight and an atlas. We rely so much on our cell phones now for a flashlight and GPS. He said when there's no electricity, gas is limited, you need to be prepared. Have a paper map to figure out where you're going. And I told Carson that, I said, I'm old school. I go nowhere without two atlas. One with a, shows all the roads, all the interstates, but another one that shows all the bridges and their heights. When you're pulling a trailer or RV, you have to know the height of the bridge you're going to go under. But I thought I'd pass that on because devastation like that, the cell phones don't do you much good. That's all I got.
So, I want to thank you, Mr. Strickler, for your prayer, and thank you for coming tonight. I want to thank everybody else coming here tonight and coming to our wonderful little council meeting. Bob, I'm sorry I missed that day on Saturday. I've been working out of town for the last 2 weeks, so I heard it was a nice event, and it's a great event, and I'm glad the town had a little part in it to help you along that.
Big part
I just want to thank 3 of the candidates, future candidates that's on the ballots for the election coming up this year. We got one sitting up here, but I just want to thank the 3 candidates that's here tonight for the audience to help us and so they can learn what's going on in our town. So, other than that, also I want to say I'm sorry to hear about Mr. Chief Lewis. I think he came in here, he has some great ideas, and I think he would have been a great person to move forward our town. So I'm sorry to see him go, so hopefully I wish him well in his endeavors.
Bob?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Mr. Strickland, for that prayer. And I ask that even as we continue to pray, that we will include the people that was displaced and affected by Storm Helene, but that we will also pray for those people in Florida who's already went through it, getting ready to go through it again. And I hope that as we see these images, we appreciate just how blessed we are, because we are very blessed. But you know, out of all the pictures that I saw and everything that I was looking at, there was one thing that really touched me, and it gave me a different perspective on life. There were people out there who had lost everything, and yet they was giving of themselves to help others. They had nothing, but they wasn't crying about it. They stood up and they were giving of themselves to help others. I think we can all take a lesson in that. We can all take a lesson in that. But I hope we'll continue to pray for these people. Not only that, I hope that we'll continue to pray for our own town, because it's just a matter, it matters seconds, and we could be going through the same thing. So I'm just hoping that our prayers continue. I want to thank everybody that supported the park on the 28th. Councilman Foreman, Stan, it was like a homecoming for you.
I know. The ones I didn't know knew me, so.
I was trying to introduce when people say, "Oh, I know him." But I thank you. I thank the candidates that were running that was there. Jay, he came by, he donated flowers, but I would like to thank all those that participated in that. And from that, we have got a lot of commitments for volunteers, not just for that park, but for all the parks. That's the whole idea. But for all the parks, it's some work that needs to be done. And we need to do it as soon as we can and as much of it as we can. But I want to thank everybody for that, and I especially like to thank Public Works. They went above and beyond to help us get everything ready. Because of the rain, we was doing some stuff but they was there and they helped us get it prepared for that day, and I really like to thank them for that. As for Chief Lewis, I have no comment. It's best not to comment, because what happened to him is wrong. And I promised him I wasn't going to say anything, but it was wrong. Very wrong. And I don't feel like that we supported this man as much as we should have with everything that was going on. And we knew. And we're losing a good man, but he's going to land well. He's going to land well. But Bedford, I'm very ashamed. I am. I love this town. I love this town. We do everything that we can to try to make it better, but to know that we still got an underbelly like we do, it hurts. It hurts. And I don't mind saying it. I don't mind who gets upset, but it is wrong. But he's a good man. He's handled well all the way through, all the way. And I really think that the good citizens of this town didn't know a lot of what was going on. But we're gonna be all right. He's gonna be all right.
Again, thanks everyone for being here. Pastor, appreciate you being here and saying a prayer. On the 28th, I attended the funeral of Private First Class Everett Kennedy, who was the first Bedford County service member to die in World War II. Well, the first service member from Bedford to die in World War II. And between the Marine Corps and the local American Legion post, they did a great job in honoring that man and his contributions and sacrifice. To sort of dovetail on some of the comments that have been made so far, Mr. Stanley, I have stressed with my family, take a go bag. Flashlights, batteries, Band-Aids.
Yeah.
The map is one thing I probably need to tell the dad, but that's a good point. Mr. Carson talked about that the stuff that happened in our states, in our neighboring states, could happen here as well. Well, talking with John just before the meeting there, and had that tornado decide to stick around a little bit longer or turn in another direction, those words would have been prophetic. I mean, that was it could have been bad. And but again, we appreciate the efforts that our electric department did during that time to keep the lights on, and so appreciate all that. Other than that, again, thanks everyone for being here.
All right, couple things. If you didn't know, our community has some guests here in town this week. I think they arrived today. It's 3 couples from France who's here visiting our area as part of the Bedford International Alliance program. I'll be going visiting with them tomorrow night at a dinner at the station. But if you see them around town, give them a good Bedford welcome. They're here visiting, D-Day and other area attractions. So well, it's good to have them here. Thank you to Public Works for making sure that the French flags were on the light poles to make them feel at home as well. So that's one thing that's going on. Like all of you, I was kind of shocked and a little disappointed in the resignation of Chief Lewis. He's dedicated 2.5 years to the service in this community, and we appreciate the job he did, and I wish him nothing but the best of luck in his future endeavors, whatever he decides to do after this. So I wanted to get that out there. Like everybody else, the devastation we've seen not only in the mountains of western North Carolina, but our neighbors in Southwest Virginia, not very far away, really. I mean, you don't hear about that, but they're in Southwest Virginia. They're all over Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, and Florida's getting ready to get it again. I know this community has stepped up and is donating supplies and money, and we're grateful for that. Just I would caution, be aware. This is a great time for scammers. They will take advantage. Just like I said, there's bad in this world just as much as we're seeing good, and they will try to take advantage of you. So be cautious. Look into who you're donating with. Make sure it's reputable organizations that are doing the good work, and keep it up. Like I said, this is not going to be a couple weeks project. This is going to be a long term, to provide sustainable ways for those people to recover, and they're going to need all our help. So, and it's coming from all across America, and it's heartwarming. It really is. But like I said, just take all that with a grain of caution as well, because there are people that will take advantage of you in these situations. That's all I've got this evening. So with that, we'll report of council committees. I don't believe we've had any committee meetings since the last time. No revisions to the agenda, Ms. Warner? Any?
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to tell you, I did look at the policy and the code section while y'all were speaking.
Okay.
It does allow attendance by electronic means up to 25% of the regular meetings held during the calendar year. So we just need to calculate the number of meetings you had and run the simple math. But I think there's a chance he would be able to attend both of them under the policy, assuming you approve that at the time.
Okay.
But we'll,
What-
Bart and
yeah,
I'll run the math.
all right.
I think there's a good chance he'll be able
That
to.
we meet that 20, okay, all right. Thank you. Don't get off so easy now.
I want to follow the policy.
Round it up to 25, less than 25%, round it down or whatever. All right, next item, Mr. Warner, if you want to start with the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, beginning with the first item on the consent agenda, appointment of a member to the Redevelopment and Housing Authority. Mr. Jim Messier is currently serving on the authority and has expressed an interest in being reappointed to serve. The position has been advertised in the local newspaper. No other citizens have volunteered. Therefore, council is requested to reappoint Mr. Jim Messier to serve on the Redevelopment and Housing Authority, said term to expire October 13, 2028.
We have a motion to appoint. We have a motion by Councilman Haley, second by Councilman Carson. Any discussion? No. All right, roll call.
Mr. Carson?
All right?
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Johansson?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
And Mayor Black.
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 members voting aye.
All right. Next item, appointment of members to the Economic Development Authority.
Ms. Lynn Scott and Mr. David Sensenig are currently serving on the Economic Development Authority and have expressed an interest in being reappointed to serve on that board. Positions have been advertised in the local newspaper and no other citizens have volunteered to serve. Therefore, council is requested to reappoint Ms. Lynn Scott and Mr. David Sensenig to the Economic Development Authority, said terms to expire November 30, 2028.
All right, so do we have a motion to appoint Lynn Scott and Dave Sensenig to the?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilman Johansson, second by Councilman Foreman. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Johansson?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Carson?
Aye.
Mayor Black.
Aye. All right, next item, appointment of member to the Planning Commission.
A vacancy exists on the Planning Commission due to a member stepping down before the end of their term. Mr. Philip Thompson has expressed an interest in being appointed. The vacancy has been advertised in the local newspaper. No other citizens have volunteered to serve. Therefore, council is requested to appoint Mr. Philip Thompson to serve on the Planning Commission, said term to expire March 31, 2025.
All right, do we have a motion to appoint Philip Thompson to the Planning Commission?
Second.
So we have a motion by Councilman Foreman, second by Councilman Updike. Does everybody know Mr. Thompson? You know, if you're not, he's a planner in Roanoke County.
Director of Planning for Roanoke County. Yes.
Director of Planning for Roanoke County and was formerly with Beverly County. So I think he'll bring a good bit of expertise to the Planning Commission.
No doubt.
Actually know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. If anybody did not know Mr.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, all right. Roll call.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Johansson?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Carson?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mayor Black.
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 members voting aye.
All right, next item is appropriation of funds for the Snowden feasibility study. Ms. Warren?
On October 31, 2023, the town entered into a contract with WSP for engineering work to complete a feasibility study for improving the efficiency and capacity of the Snowden Hydroelectric Power Generating Facility within the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, license parameters. WSP is ready to begin the study, which requires budget funding to be appropriated. The electric department receives funding for renewable energy credits, or RECs, that are not included in the revenue budget adopted by Town Council due to the fluctuation of the market price associated with the credits. The Town Treasurer's Office processed a check receipt recently for RECs totaling $272,500 on September 26, 2024. The electric department is requesting that the revenue received from these RECs be appropriated towards the Snowden feasibility study. Tonight, Town Council is requested to approve a budget amendment which would appropriate budget to appropriate general ledger accounts. And to provide a bit more background, essentially, the town has $272,000 of revenue to apply to this project, which in itself is part of another ongoing process related to licensure of the hydroelectric facility through FERC. Based on the scope we had from the contract last year, we think that expenditure is about $125,000. I'll defer to John on that number, but essentially what we're asking you all to do is to appropriate $125,000 in expenditure line item for hydro facility projects, and you can keep the remainder in contingency or whatever you want in the electric fund. But basically what we're doing is we've generated some revenue directly from the power that is produced at Snowden. We're looking to use that revenue to put back into a study to see if it's possible or advisable to expand or improve the efficiency of the operation. So went off script a little bit, just wanted to provide that additional information.
All right, we want to discuss before we make a motion, or
That's fine.
so, real quick, so that would be a change to this action plan if we did 125 for the study, is that, because right now you've got it all 272.
Yeah, and that's what I would say.
hydro.
You have $272,000 in revenue that was not budgeted, which we're going to have to appropriate something.
Right,
But the cost of what we're asking you to do is only about $125,000. So we're going to ask you to appropriate $125,000 to hydro facility projects,
for that study,
For that
the purpose
study.
of that study.
and then you'll have a
What's the difference
remainder
there?
to.
Because we need to change those line items, don't we, on?
Yeah.
And on the budget amendment, if we decided we wanted to do that, I mean, if we said that and put the rest in contingency, for capital for contingency, we just can say it without having those line items in here, or
I think it's $147,500 is the net,
we
if I'm
want to
right.
give do you think we ought to do a little extra on the 125, just to contingency 135 or something?
Take it out.
That's true. Or you could put it all, the whole 272 in this and then take it back out in a subsequent amendment. It's whatever you wish to do. But certainly, probably a contingency fund is advisable.
All right.
Yeah, so we can put it into a contingency fund for other projects that we prioritize after this. Because I see this was done in 2023, so this is something that's moving forward. And so if we did this, will we put the rest of the renewable energy credits, would we have to do this every time? Or could we put something in a policy to where they would go automatically into this contingency fund for priorities that we make?
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean,
that's, yeah.
the thing is, it's pretty random. I mean, some years, John, tell me if I'm doing this wrong, but like some years, I mean, we never budgeted for it because we never know what we're gonna get. I mean, there's been some years we don't get anything.
Yeah.
And then I think this is probably the highest I've probably seen in.
Yeah, what PJM allows us to do is keep those recs for up to 3 years.
Okay.
And we have a broker that watches the price, and when it gets high, he sells.
Sells,
So he
okay.
could be sitting on those for 3 years before he sells them.
Okay.
So this year we got a good price, and he had accumulated quite a few recs. That's why we got the money.
Well, that's why you sold them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a hidden
It is.
savings account.
So this is every 3 years, and you'll see this every 3 years. most
Well,
likely.
he might do- Unless-
driven by market.
That's right.
Yeah, it's market driven.
But it has to be at least every 3 years.
Okay.
So it could be every year, it could be every 2 years, every 3 years. Just, he's watching the market. When it gets up to a certain price, then we sell.
Let me ask just a few questions, John, on the feasibility study. So obviously, we've talked about putting is it 2 turbines in?
Up to two what we call low-flow turbines.
Right, so that we could run the Snowden when the water's lower. Right.
Remember, originally there were 3 turbines in that same space.
Okay.
They were removed in 1985. And the idea was to put modern turbines in there, but they ran out of money, and they
Right.
never finished the project.
Okay.
So-
And they'll be, they won't be the vertical, they'll still be horizontal turbines?
They'll be vertical turbines.
They'll be vertical turbines,
Right,
okay.
the ones we have now are horizontal.
Horizontal, so these would be vertical, okay.
Right,
And
so-
aren't they a little more, maybe a little
Well,
more
they can run
efficient?
with less water.
Less water, okay.
Which is what we need, because there are so many months up there when the water is low. I call it, instead of the James River, I call it the James Creek. You can walk across sometimes, it's just very little water there.
So, this study will look, what, from an engineering standpoint, if the turbines will fit in there? Will they look at, like a budget or cost estimate for the
Yes,
project?
Yeah, the end result of a successful project, in other words, if it was mechanically feasible, structurally feasible, and economically feasible,
Right.
would be an amendment to our FERC license.
Okay.
That's the end goal that we are shooting for. And that's why this firm is the firm to do it, because they're the experts in our FERC license.
Okay.
They've been working for 5 years to get our FERC license approved. We think we're just about there.
So process-wise, so the benefit, I mean, they'll show you what you're gonna, I mean, it costs, how it's
Yes.
gonna benefit you, what
Yes.
kind of return on your investment, I guess.
Remember that we applied for a grant for this project. We didn't win the grant. And one
Okay.
reason why we didn't win the grant is because we didn't have a feasibility study.
Okay,
But we are plan to apply the next round.
for the
For
grant,
grant
for the
money.
actual funding of the project.
Correct. But we have to have real numbers
Right,
to get a serious consideration
Okay.
for a grant.
all right. So, what kind of time period to get
I'm
this?
hoping they can do it in 6 months.
6 months?
They've actually started to do some work. They have
And
not billed us for any of the work that they did.
So would that still be a part of the relicensing or?
It would be, because again, remember, the end result we're shooting for is a license amendment.
Right, so
So-
we're not close to getting that, I mean, you're not gonna run up into a time constraint and be
No,
pressured
no,
because of the
no.
time period to get
No.
your license renewed. Okay.
That's correct. We're
Right.
not going to run into a time constraint. And the numbers have changed so much within PJM. I mean,
Right.
and when we bring forth to you the next PCA, you're going to be a little bit surprised at what we see there, because our transmission costs have gone up dramatically in the past year. It's beyond our control. We have no control over that. And also, we expect next year our capacity costs to go up 5 times as much as it is now. PJM has redefined how they classify different generating units. And this has resulted in the price of capacity going up dramatically. And we didn't have any time to react to it. Normally, they have a capacity auction 3 years in advance. So you know 3 years in advance what your capacity costs are going to be. They just had the auction in August, and it's going to be in effect next year. And that's because so many parties are challenging PJM in the way they do this capacity responsibility that has been tied up in court for 2 and almost 3 years. So and now we're having another auction in December. So that will take us through 26. So it's been a real surprise. That's what's happened. And the market is really upset about it.
Any questions, comments?
I guess this is to our advantage to go ahead and get this study done of efficiency and all that while they're here. And
Yes,
just-
absolutely.
I mean, that's what
And
we
just-
want to do.
Just keep in mind, the only weapon we have to control our transmission costs and capacity costs is behind the meter generation. And we're very fortunate to have this gem of a hydro plant and this opportunity to increase its capacity. But we need to do this study before we decide anything about it. We will apply for another grant once we have the study done, then we have good numbers to give to the folks to decide about the grant.
I got a question. I went out there when you critters on tour. That's in the oil part of the plant to put in.
I'm sorry?
That's in the oil part of the plant, correctly?
Yes. Yes.
Is the old turbine still there, or they been pulled out years ago?
No, they were sold.
I couldn't remember, because you took us on tour right now.
No, they were sold in 1985.
Okay.
Now, we could probably find them. That's how the hydro business works, you know, but they were sold in 1985.
Because I remember seeing where they've been cemented
Yes.
in and stuff like that,
That's
so
right.
that's why I was wondering.
Yeah, there are 3 bays for these low-flow turbines. We'd like to repower 2 and see what we can do. It would probably increase the output of the plant by 25%, which is a big improvement for what we have now. We have a great plant, but it just needs volume and velocity, and that's not the case so often on the James River.
Any other questions? So, Todd, any?
I was just gonna say, how would we, if we want, or do we wanna do the motion to do just the 135 and put the other in a different, make a different line item then? Is that?
I think that makes sense right now.
I can take a stab at giving you some direction in terms of the structure of the
Okay,
motion.
thank you.
Still looking at a revenue increase in the line item entitled Recoveries and Rebates in Fund 19 of $272,500, and a revenue increase in Fund 59, transfer into electric, that's the capital revenues. An expenditure increase in the transfer to electric capital projects budget in Fund 19 of $135,000, and a transfer also into the hydro facility projects line item in Fund 59 of $135,000. Getting back to Fund 19, then increasing the expenditure line item for contingency in the amount of $137,500.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And so that adds that 137.5 into that contingency.
And I'm looking at Ann to
capital.
double check me on my definitions of the funds there.
Everything's good, except the transfer in on the electric fund needs to drop down, which just came out for the hydro.
Okay, so those revenue increases should just be 135,000?
So the fund 19 should be the full 272.5.
Okay.
Fund 59 should just be the amount.
Of 135.
Thank you, what she said.
Oh, okay.
Can I make a comment about that?
Yeah.
I would much rather have the money for the study go into our engineering cost, which is for Fund 19, which is an operating cost. That's where we would pay for engineering services of this type. If it was decided to go ahead as a capital project, then we would go into Fund 59. But I would prefer to see it in Fund 19 as an engineering expense.
Well, I think what we're, maybe, I don't want to speak for Todd, but I think kind of part of this too is, is.
And I'm just talking about the amount.
You're talking about- So I think I understand, you're saying we want the 135 put into the fund, the
Engineering
engineering
expense.
costs.
Correct.
The money, and then the rest can still be put in contingency.
Correct.
Instead of into the hydro facility projects, put it into engineering costs?
Yes, because these are engineering
Because
services.
it's an engineering type study.
Correct. These are professional engineers
All right.
that do the work.
So now, and is that, so it'd be recoveries and rebates, was 272.5. Transfer into electric, that'd still be the 135?
Yes.
And then instead of, hydro facility projects, it would be the engineering line and operating? Is the hydro facility projects, that's an operating line, or is that a capital line?
Capital.
That's the line item identified for the feasibility study. So the hope, because that needs to be in the capital fund, because we're gonna capitalize it, and that's why we put it in 59.
Well, we would be capitalizing if we didn't go forward? That's my question.
It will be in limbo until we decide.
Right. Yeah.
So then you'd have to do a transfer or journal entry to get it back in. All right.
And which one would work better for you, in your bookkeeping side of it?
Based on the dollar amount, because it's such a large amount, it could be a capital asset. I would recommend you put it in 59, just for tracking for our purposes.
Okay. All right. And then the 137.5 into contingency for capital.
Fund 19, yep.
Fund, all right, so is that, you want, somebody want to make a motion that way, or I can make that motion, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I don't think so.
So, we're good on the lines, Ann? All right, and then, we'll help you get those line item numbers right for the Ann can help, maybe we can get those exact line item numbers right.
That's still 272,
They vote.
and then 135.
So we have a motion by me, that's what, Darrell, Councilman Updike, a second.
Okay.
And, so, any other discussion?
That's clearly there.
I think we're good.
All right,
Mr. Johannesson?
Yes.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Carson?
All right.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mayor Black?
aye.
Motion carries with 7 members voting aye.
All right. Next item, Mr. Warner.
Town of Bedford has received reimbursement from the Virginia Risk Sharing Association, or VRSA, in the amount of $5,902.50 for a claim made by the fire department for collision damage to vehicle Utility 1, which occurred on September 3rd, 2024. The department is requesting for town council to consider appropriating the revenue received towards the expenditure line item, which will pay for the vehicle repair. Town council is requested to approve a below budget amendment, which will appropriate budget to the general ledger accounts as follows: an increase in the revenue line item identified as recovery and rebates in Fund 10 of $5,902, and an increase in the expenditure line item identified as repairs recovered from VML in Fund 10, also of $5,902.
All right, so do we have a motion to increase revenue under recoveries and rebates for 5902 and put it into repairs recovered from VML for 5902?
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Haley, second by Councilman Updike. Any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Carson?
All right.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Johannesson?
Aye.
Mayor Black?
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 members voting aye.
All right, appropriation of funds for police projects, Mr. Warner.
Town of Bedford has received reimbursement from Bedford County in the amount of $23,621 for fiscal year 23 Motorola CAD fees billed. The department is requesting for town council to consider appropriating the refund received from the county towards the expenditure line item for 2 police projects: $7,500 for Motorola data conversion from on-site servers to cloud-based servers, and $16,121 towards the renovations at the Liberty Lake Park building for police use. Tonight, Town Council is requested to approve a budget amendment as follows: an increase in the revenue line item entitled Recoveries and Rebates of $23,621 in Fund 10, and an increase in the revenue line item entitled Transfer in General Fund in Fund 50 of $23,621, and then an increase in the expenditure line item entitled Transfer to Capital Project Fund of $23,621 in Fund 10, and an increase in expenditure in 2 line items in Fund 50, one of $7,500 for the line item titled Body Camera and Microphones, and $16,121 for the line item identified as Public Safety Building.
All right, do we have a motion for the appropriation of funds for police projects?
So moved.
Second.
So we've got a motion by Councilman Foreman, second by Councilman Updike. Any discussion, questions? I got just one quick, obviously, this wasn't a budgeted revenue item because we weren't aware that we might be getting this.
Correct. We didn't know. It was a surprise.
Okay. Will this be something we will get on an ongoing basis going forward?
No, that was a one-time refund.
Oh, darn. Okay. Tried. All right, that was all. I was just wondering if it was something that could be reoccurring that y'all can start using for whatever. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No.
All right.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Carson?
All right.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Johannesson?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mayor Black?
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 members voting aye.
All right. Next item, wind power purchase.
As part of its overall purchased power portfolio, which is designed to provide reliable electric power to the town's distribution system, the town of Bedford purchases a significant amount of wind-generated electricity through its membership in the American Municipal Power Organization, otherwise known as AMP. The town's current contract for purchase of this component of our portfolio expires at the end of the current year. Staff recommends entering into an agreement to purchase power generated by the Blue Creek Wind Farm located in Ohio as offered through AMP. Tonight, Town Council is requested to consider approval of the contract for purchase of wind-generated electricity from the Blue Creek Wind PPA facility as offered through AMP.
All right, do we have a motion on the wind power purchase contract?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Updike, second by Vice Mayor Stanley. Any questions or discussion? I've got a few, John, if you know me. I just want to make sure I understand. There was a couple things in here that aren't kind of filled out in in this contract yet. So first, so our existing contract, we're buying roughly how much?
7 megawatts.
7 megawatts.
Right.
And at what price?
It's just about $55 a megawatt hour.
So
$56.
at 57 mega, at 55.
Because
okay.
I can't give you an exact number because we have to pay for delivery charges.
Okay.
And they vary based on congestion in the system. So
Right.
sometimes it's a zero adder, sometimes it's more than that.
So is this kind of like a subscription project so that do we know how much we're gonna get megawatts out of this contract? Because I know in committee you said it's gonna be less than
3.5 megawatts.
it's 3.5, and that's the most we could ever get. I mean,
What AMP does is they look at the total output of this facility, then they look at their members and they portion it out to their members.
but what if all the members didn't subscribe to it? Like,
Well, then they'll come back around and say, hey, we've got this much more available. Are you interested? And then this has to be completed by December 1st. Then they'll decide if there's any folks that didn't subscribe.
so is there any reason why we were buying 7 now that, I mean,
There's more people that need, more.
Yeah, but we got in at the beginning, we talked about this in committee, I mean, and you can pass this on because since you're on the board of directors up there.
Yeah.
You know, that, hey, if we're in on the beginning, why should we be penalized? I mean, if this is a good deal, why should we kind of be penalized and
Yeah.
have to take half of what I'm just,
Yeah. I know.
It seems like, hey, you got us in on the first time, now you're gonna,
I understand.
so anyway, so what is, so the price on this is, it looks like the total all-in price is what, 58?
$59. Not to exceed 59. But the estimate they gave us was 58.
Estimate is 58?
Right.
Okay. So what's the market rate on, if you're buying it on the market right now?
Well, it depends, it changes every hour, but
Yeah.
you figure a good market price is going to be 60, 65,
Okay.
$68.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get 3.5 at least, the minimum, we're gonna get 3.5 megawatts, but we
Right.
could potentially get more.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, so so we're committing to whatever they're gonna give us, basically.
Yeah, they guarantee 3.5.
Okay, all right. And then the last piece, there was, in this Exhibit C, environmental attributes, where you have to make a decision on whether you want those to go, be sold. I guess those are the recs kind of out of the project.
Correct. So
if you want them to be sold and we get cash back, or if you want them to go towards your transmission costs, is that correct?
That's
So
correct.
which do you recommend, and should we make that part of our approval?
We
tonight?
should. I like to get the cash back.
Cash back instead of
Yes.
going towards transmission costs?
Yeah,
All right, do you think that's a better economic deal? Okay.
right.
So
Because-
we should make that, part of that then, because, part of the motion or whatever.
Right. That's one of the options that they give us.
All right.
Right.
Any
So that
other
will reduce
options?
the cost. That will reduce the cost to us. That'll reduce our net cost.
Net costs, right. We'll
But
get
we don't know what that is. We don't know what that number is until.
Right,
it goes
because it's
out.
on the market, just like what we just got,
Correct.
But
Right.
was part of what we got From the Rex, from the wind project that we're already, this same wind project?
No, the Rex, that check we cashed was 100% from Snowden.
Snowden, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Any other questions on, anybody got any kind of, on this contract or anything? And I'm sure Mr. Lockley and Mr. Carroll, whenever y'all reviewed, you reviewed it and you don't see anything that we need to?
Mr. Lockley did, and I looked over it prior to this meeting as well.
Okay, all right.
This is a standard AMP contract.
Yeah, and subscription thing,
Correct.
Exactly. And we've
Correct.
done this, well, I guess we did the wind farm.
Correct.
But we didn't do the solar, what, then they tried to,
No, no.
one time we did.
They are offering a solar project in the future.
Okay.
And they are also offering what's known as a peaking project, where they would actually come here and put more diesels like we already have. And the problem with that, I don't know if it's a problem, but the benefits go into a big pot, so everybody that subscribes gets a portion of the pot. So it's not tied to us
Right.
particularly, but it's whatever goes into the pot then gets split out.
So you have to wait,
Participants.
yeah, you have to wait whether doing it yourself is more beneficial than letting
Right.
somebody else pay for it. You
But
just
but
get-
what it does is it kind of minimizes the risk, because if our unit doesn't work, we still get a piece of the savings.
Right, okay.
So that's what they say is a benefit. You're not assuming all the risk of that particular resource, all the partners.
But that's down the road.
That's down the road.
Okay.
That could be, they might be coming next year. They're going to pay us a visit and, tell us what they can do. And so when that happens, we'll come back and tell you.
All right, so, anybody want to make a motion, try to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
That we enter into the contract with the option to get the Rex back in cash. So is that the motion?
That's a motion.
Yeah.
All right, we got a motion from Councilman Johansson.
No second.
Second by Vice Mayor Stanley. Any further questions?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Is that, so we good? All right,
Clear.
clear?
Mr. Carson.
Aye.
Mr. Foreman.
Aye.
Mr. Haley.
Aye.
Mr. Johansson.
Aye.
Mr. Stanley.
Aye.
Mr. Updike.
Aye.
Mayor Black.
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 members voting aye.
All right, thank you, John. Last item, the one everybody's been waiting for. Go ahead, Walter.
Public Safety Committee of Town Council met on September 24, 2024 to discuss speed limits of specific areas in town, particularly Longwood Avenue, Oakwood Street, and Forest Road / Highway 221, in response to several concerns expressed by citizens. The members of the committee unanimously voted to recommend the following changes. 1, application of a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit to the entirety of Longwood Avenue within town limits. 2, reduction of the speed limit on Oakwood Street from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour in the area from its intersection with Longwood Avenue to the current 25-mile-per-hour zone in the vicinity of Bedford Memorial Hospital. And 3, reduction of the speed limit from 45 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour on Forest Road / Highway 221 from the current 45-mile-per-hour zone just east of McGee Street to the current town limits, noting that this will necessitate coordination with the Virginia Department of Transportation regarding the speed limits posted in the adjacent area outside of the town. Tonight, Town Council is requested to formally consider adopting the recommendations of the Public Safety Committee.
So how should we do we want to discuss each one individually and take a motion on each one individually? Or do we want to just make a motion to approve all of them and then discuss each one, and if we need to, or do you want to discuss them first?
Let's discuss them first.
Let's discuss them first and we'll see where,
Yeah.
okay. So let's just talk about the application of the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit to the entirety of Longwood Avenue within town limits. So let's make sure we're clarifying what Longwood Avenue is. It's from the intersection of Independence to,
No, it's more like the street that runs up by the cemetery.
Park Street, are you talking about from Park Street?
Walnut Street? Walnut Street.
It's certainly from Peaks Road to Oakwood Street, and I think that's currently posted 35.
And then the rest is
And
already.
then it goes down to 25 right around Longwood Avenue Baptist Church.
So are we also talking about, and I used to call it Longwood Extension, but
No.
it's Longwood Avenue also.
Yeah, I know. So no, this is not including Longwood
Okay.
Extension, because that's the one we extended the 35 onto the
Yeah.
town limit. So
And that's Route 122.
yeah, that's why I wanted to clarify this,
Yes.
that we're
Well,
not
that's why I-
talking about taking the Longwood Extension from 35 to 25.
And, technically, the word extension is added to the official name of the street. So we're just
Yeah,
talking about
I know.
Longwood Avenue.
Right.
Yeah.
So
No.
does everybody understand where we're talking about from, like I said, basically from, the section that's not 25 is basically from Oakwood Street
Correct.
to Westview, or not even that far, to Oak Street.
Oak
to
Street, yes, yes.
So it's basically adding the 25 in that 4-lane section.
I guess I have to question, is this the route we want to go? From a 4-lane road that I know is going to cause confusion, probably a little complaints, and probably additional tickets. But at the same time, I look at Smith Street, the 2-lane road. It's still 30 miles an hour. I still look at Burks Hill, going up into a school zone, 30 miles an hour. So I do have some little heartburn with us reducing a 4-lane from 35 to 25 when we have 2 lanes that are still 30 miles an hour in residential areas. So that's the only one I have concern with. I'm fine with the other 2, but I don't know if we need a complete review of the other streets in town before we decide on that, but there are some that kind of contradict our reasoning here. From 4-lane, from 35 to 25, but then you got a 2-lane in a complete residential area on Smith. It's 30, and then going up Burks Hill into a school zone, it's 30. So I'm not understanding the thinking completely here.
I wasn't in the committee meeting, but I would assume that there was talk of engineering the road, and the cost of the engineering the road would be a lot more expensive than lowering the speed limits. The only thing I wasn't in the meeting, so.
Yeah, there was discussion about is this a short-term solution to the speeding problem on Longwood Avenue until you get to the point where you decide you want to look into I mean, it was pretty substantial, the road diet project, the cost
Yes,
of doing that. It was,
Way down the road.
that's probably not a number one transportation priority right now, so, but in the meantime,
But that's my only comment there, in that I don't know if this is more of a knee-jerk reaction, or have we really thoroughly thought all this through?
Well,
I mean, I understand the future project that is way, 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 way down the road. I get that, but at the same time, we have other areas too that do need some attention.
Well, it was certainly in response to, that meeting we had with the neighbors, and some concerns that was expressed there.
Right.
It was certainly in response to that. The problem is at the 35, people are driving 50. I mean, they're flying by you. I mean, I'm trying to go 30, 35 mile an hour, and you better get in that right lane, because they're going to be flying by you in the left lane. So the thought is, if you take it to 25, does that at least get them down to a little bit safer level? I don't know.
Well, either way, though, my thinking is, okay, if they're going 45, then let's get some radar set up there.
True.
Because that's what we're going to do with the 25 anyway. Either way, you catch 22.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to argue this. I mean, I'm just making a point here that there are other roads that still need to be
Darryl,
reviewed.
you got some thoughts? I mean, you were in on
I didn't think about this during the planning committee meeting, but you bring up a good point about being 4-lane. However, you also have a lot of people needing to turn right or turn left to get into a driveway, or if you get further down to a business. Having the 4 lanes there and 25, it still allows people who are going straight on through to do that unobstructed, and you just change lanes and move around whatever vehicle's turning and that kind of stuff. So I don't really have an issue with the 4 lane and still being 25. this is also in response to citizen concerns, type thing. Whatever we do, but especially if we adopt this as it is, just because we legislate something, make a rule about something, that's not the end of the effort. We're going to need the police department to take a more active role in the education phase of this thing. Greater visibility, said making more stops, writing tickets. Those are officer discretion things, but certainly being out there and informing people either directly or indirectly that, hey, this is a change, this is a concern. It's going to be part of that process to change. And I think Chief Lewis mentioned this in one of the other committee meetings. It's about changing attitudes, and that's what, again, that's part of that piece that the folks on the road can do, have more impact doing than we can up here.
And also you brought up some points about different other roads in the town that needs to be addressed. We could, once we get to that point, we could go through that too, just like we're doing this, and address them as we go along to update the whole town and different speed limits, because throughout the whole town there's different speed limits everywhere in town. So
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
so we can do that same thing and update it from that way. Just like we're trying to, Irene, we're updating it now, so.
Yeah.
I think part of it's complaint driven,
And I think this could also help with the commercial traffic on that street also. You've got a lot of tractor trailers not following the truck routes. So if you slow the speed down to 25, it may encourage them to follow the truck route instead of driving through Longwood Avenue all the way down to Main Street and then turning turn onto Main Street and going down into Blue Ridge Avenue. Instead, they'll go the truck route over to 460 through Independence Boulevard. Because a lot of them don't pay attention to that sign that says truck route.
And that was one of the other things we did talk about, was the truck traffic and the truck route, and I don't know, we talked about some increased signage for making that truck route a little bit more visible.
Yeah, maybe put one up that says no trucks.
Yeah, so we did talk about that as part of it too. I know that's not part of this right now, but that's just, down the road or administrative or whatever. All right.
I don't want to bust nobody's bubble, but we're talking about changing the signs, but the one thing I've seen, it doesn't make a difference which speed limit it is if it's not enforced. I know on South Street, if they know that it's an officer on South Street parked at the end of South Street, they come through there like they're in a funeral procession. And they know it because somebody puts it on Facebook that there's an officer out there, so when they drive through you, it's like a funeral procession. But when no officer is there, they come through their zone. And I think it's everywhere you go. If we could possibly vigorously enforce the speed that we have, like he said, to change people's mind about, hey, look, I better slow down through here. But I don't know if we have the police power to do that as much as it needs to be done. But even if we change the speed limit, we're going to have to enforce it. Most people don't pay it no mind. They don't pay the sign no mind. So, I mean, yeah, we could put the signs up, but we're going to have to enforce it.
A 45 and a 25 is reckless driving,
yeah,
right?
but you got a 25 and people doing 45 and there's nobody around.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? It's some kind of way we got to change their attitude about driving through this area because they're going to bust you. We have to get it like that.
right.
This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I'm good.
All right, so let's just talk about all of them, then we'll figure out if we want to make a motion for all of them. So the reduction of the speed limit on Oakwood Street from 30 to 25, that was just to try to go back to consistency.
Get it all 25.
It's a wider road, and that's why we increased it there. What I don't know how many years ago it was, but
Probably 2015 maybe.
yeah, I think so. But once again, I think, people just bump the speed up on those roads, just like everywhere, so.
Coming down past the hospital, it's Talladega.
Where does it pick up 25 at the hospital? Is it 25 from the hospital all the way out?
Yes.
To the end, to North Branch, all the way out there?
All the way out there.
So really, it's just 25 from Whitfield, 30 from Whitfield to, Longwood?
Longwood, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just,
Just get it consistent.
confusion, inconsistency leads to maybe confusion. And
So, when did we change it to 30?
2015, I believe.
Probably around 2015, somewhere around in there.
I can't remember why. I think there was a council member that wanted, maybe.
I remember it was a reason why we done it, and somebody wanted it to try to see, I don't recall, yeah. But Todd.
There were citizen concerns at the time.
Yep.
I think,
That we were increasing it too much.
yeah, we increased it there. Someone came and spoke to you and I, and you lived on the street, and they were just concerned about it being up at that speed, because they were concerned people would drive faster than that speed limit.
I think it picks up to, or it goes down to 25 right there at Woodfield. Yeah, right there.
When I'm leaving work to come home, traffic traveling from the hospital back towards Longwood Avenue, I haven't observed a lot of people exceeding the speed limit. I mean, they're within that tolerance,
Right.
And now, once we get beyond the hospital, I live on the dead end roads. They're not speeding that line, but Mr. Stanley may have more insight on that. But
I'm not going to say.
Talladega.
Been there too long.
All right. And then the last one, from the 45 to the 35. We talked about this once in the committee when we did the 35. But obviously now with the concern, that's been brought to our attention, I think that does kind of merit both. I just had to change, but.
What is the, how do we work with the VDOT?
That was what I was.
That was my
What's that
question.
coordination?
Mainly, what we'll create is right outside of town limits now, it's 55. So you'll go from 35 to 55, 55 to 35. We'll advise them that we've taken this action based on our ability to do so in state code. They may want to create some kind of transitional 45 period. That's it. We'll just, we'll notify them that we're making this change, which of course is town council's prerogative. But I know in the residency, they'll ask if we did a speed study, and we'll say, no, this was in response to our citizens.
So, one other thing I just thought about, because I've coming back from Forest a couple times lately, and when I come around that curve, I kind of, noticed it too. And is there any signage, blind, that you can put up a blind driveway or something like that? Because it's pretty close. Even at 35, there's a possibility,
That's going to be a hazardous curve at any speed, frankly, so we should do something.
Exactly. So that's why I'm wondering if there's any other signage, you've seen it before. Hidden driveway ahead, or something like that. We're discussing, I appreciate it, but yeah.
Especially 55 coming out of Appomattox.
We've already kind of had our, public, because, what's wrong?
The last 200 yards of the town limits is currently
55.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
45.
Right, you're right. It is.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
When
it's
you come
kinda
across
in
the
the
bridge,
curve,
it
yeah.
is 55 until you get to that
And-
45 sign.
yeah.
So this 35 would take.
Would
it
go
to the
all the
bridge.
way to the bridge.
This 35 would go all the way.
It
to
would
the
fix
bridge.
that.
Yeah. Oh, she is right on that, because I did notice that one, okay. The 45 doesn't start, you kind of start coming up the hill a little bit.
But it's
Which
still-
is the kind of
it's still
that
too fast.
transition. It was probably that transition from going to 55 to get a little, I don't know, or it's just, well, it wasn't part of the town at that point in time,
That's what it
or the
is.
city, so,
Councilman Foreman, those signs that start flashing when you exceed a certain speed limit, what's been your experience with their effectiveness?
You talking about the ones that the police department puts out? They actually work on slowing people down for a while until they get used to them being there. And then they seem like they're challenged at times.
Okay.
But they are effective, but it would be a good thing to put in the areas where we do change the speed to let people know that the speed is lower.
And that they are exceeding
That
that
they're
particular.
speeding that speed, yes.
And like I said, as they get used to seeing that, they get sort of blind to it. So, but that could certainly help during that educational
Yes.
phase of speeds being lowered.
What about rumble strips? Is that a?
On Forest Road,
Yeah, hey, what about that, you know?
you got a lot of truck traffic through there.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, you got a lot of traffic through there.
Anything that will make them think,
Yeah.
get their attention and make them think I gotta slow down.
I mean, that might be a discussion down the road for VDOT, but, you know, I mean,
Well, I was gonna say, you could put one of those flashing signs there permanently, and before you could put radar enforced, and people would assume, you know, that would be telling them to slow down, that there may be a police officer ahead. There's things
I think
like
between
that.
signage and educating,
And, yeah, put the signage up for education, and put a permanent flashing sign there.
Down
They
there.
can be made permanent, and run by, they can be, solar powered, so that they don't have to change batteries, they're just attached to a speed limit sign post. I don't know what the cost would be minimal, I don't know how much. Last time I looked at them years ago, they were about $5,000 for one of them.
All right, any other discussions? So, do we want to make a motion on all three of them at one time, or do we want to?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
So, does somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
I got a motion from Councilman Updike, second from Councilman Carson. Any further discussion?
You know, I was thinking about what CG said about Longwood right there. What's the speed limit there in the 4 lanes now? I can't remember.
35.
35.
35.
There are some contradictory areas along there too, where it's 25 on one side and 35 on the other.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think there's a lot of confusion through that
Yeah,
corridor.
is.
and that's why I
It
think
is.
one speed would be,
Consistency on both sides of the
Right,
road is,
right.
Okay.
could help.
yeah.
Good? Okay. All right, so roll call.
Mr. Foreman,
Aye.
Mr. Haley,
Aye.
Mr. Johansson,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley,
Aye.
Mr. Updike,
Aye.
Mr. Carson,
All right,
Mayor Black.
Aye.
Motion carries with all members
Give
voting
me a
aye.
bicycle.
I feel like I'm on a scooter.
I think it's gonna affect 3 of us more than.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything
It'll be an
else?
adjustment.
Yeah.
Do we need to form a support group for?
Yeah. You got it. We're adjourned.